What to do when a disciplined trader breaks his plan. This is episode 3. Let's start digging into what went wrong. Today, we're going to take a look at my trading plan. We're going to break it apart and find out where there's some conflict that led up to the break of my plan. As I say in every one of my live trade recaps, I have a very strict day trading plan that I follow 100%, no bending, and certainly no breaking of any part of the plan. So why on Friday did I all of a sudden break that plan? There may have been one single event that pushed me over the edge, but there were a lot of little things that led up to that. Without those little things, the bigger trigger may not have been enough to get me to break my plan. So that's an important point because many people want to blame one singular event for a lapse in judgment or discipline or ability to follow their plan. And I just don't think it's that simple. If you have a trading plan that you're normally very good at following and then all of a sudden you break it, I guarantee it didn't happen as suddenly as it seems. There were many little issues leading up to that break, but you just missed them. So our goal as traders is to try and find every one of those moments so that we don't repeat them in the future. So what the heck am I talking about? Let's take a look at some of the more recent additions to my trading plan and you'll see exactly what I mean. So here is my market open day trading plan that I've been trading now since mid-June. And I've been following it strictly 100% to the T until Friday, and that's when I broke it by taking 2 extra trades. So I decided to go through this thing and tear it apart and figure out where I went wrong because the basic layout of this plan existed before I started trading it, and then as I started trading it and finding things that I thought were weaknesses in the plan, I would make additions. And the majority of those additions have been very helpful and they're good and they're going to stay in the plan, but there's also been a few things that I've added along the way that are actually conflicting to the original plan, and those are the things that we have to narrow down and remove from the plan because that's what led up to breaking the plan, not my wife's birthday. So here we go. So today is August 12th, and I'm just saying here that I've noticed there's been some confliction in my plan leading up to the break, so I'm just kind of telling myself, showing you that I'm going to remove those parts and leave the parts that make the plan easy to follow. So you don't want your plan difficult to follow. That's pretty obvious. And so this part here I wrote right after I broke my plan. Maybe a mandatory trading break is needed occasionally, like every 50 trades, a time for reflection and to show yourself that you're the master of your trading, not the markets. And I think this is really key. I think that I'm going to leave this in here and I'm going to better define it to a 1-week break after 50 trades. Because you see that I'm blocking off like 100 trade periods. That's how I kind of decide whether or not what I'm doing works. That's based on statistics. There's something called the law of large numbers. If you're not familiar with it, check it out. The coin flip is the classic example. We all know that a coin has a 50% probability of coming up heads or tails. But if you just start flipping a coin right now, that I bet you're going to get a very different probability of heads to tails than 50% because at the beginning you're probably going to get, say, 3 heads or 3 tails in a row, or eventually you'll get a series of one or the other in a row, and it's going to really throw off that 50% probability. But as you flip the coin closer to 100 times or eventually get to 100 times, you're going to see the probability is going to get closer and closer to 50% the more flips that you take. So that's why I do that 100 trade block, and I think it's a good idea to stop after 50 trades for 1 week and take a break because 50 trades is a lot, especially to maintain your plan with 100% accuracy and never breaking it. It can be a bit exhausting, so the break is good. And let's move on. A little later I decided, okay, this is what I'm talking about, where I define it as 1 week should be sufficient to reset my emotions, analyze the data, and fortify my trading plan. If you break your plan, there's always multiple reasons. This is another thing that I wrote the day that I broke my plan. Multiple things that lead up to that break. So we've already talked about that. So my next kind of assignment for myself was to list everything that led up to the break. So this was the list that I came up with that day. Never day trade on days that you have other important things to do. This could be birthdays, meetings, exams, holidays, vacations, weddings, funerals, etc. No day trading on big days. Only day trade on days that allow you to focus completely on day trading. And this is just a great thing to have in your plan that I think is going to just help you stay in the plan long term, because any day where you're taking trades where you have some other big important thing to do or focus on, you're not going to be able to give 100% of your attention and focus and energy to day trading. And if you've done any length of day trading, you know that it's very difficult. So if you can't put 100% of yourself into it, you're going to have trouble. So that's what that's about. So here's the other thing that hurt me. This was the day that I broke my plan, was taking a trade on 2 tickers instead of just one. So this is where I'm starting to find the conflict in my plan, because this is pointing to something I added to my plan a little bit before this time. So this is why you need to remove the paragraph below and just pick one ticker and stick it out. So this was the part that I added to my plan, which helped me break my plan. So that's not a good thing. Deciding between 2 strong stocks, this makes logical sense, but the problem is you see what happened is eventually it caused me to break my plan. If you cannot decide which stock looks better, enter both, but leave the third trade for the stock that looks best on the daily chart. If one goes to 2R and the other is considerably above the entry, raise the stop up to break even, blah, blah, blah. That part doesn't even really matter. We're going to remove this because although this makes sense on a logical level, what this led up to is on Friday when I took 2 trades on 2 different stocks that both looked kind of equally strong, I kind of felt like, I'm not really sure which one looks better. And instead of one of them going to 2R, they ended up both stopping me out on the first trade. So there's 2 trades wiped out right there. I only have 1 trade left. Which stock do I put the trade on? And that's when I broke my plan, because I ended up taking a trade on both of those stocks again, and both of those failed. So that's 4 trades down, and then I threw 1 more trade out there on one of those stocks. And I'll show you all those trades tomorrow. That's what tomorrow's episode is going to be focused on, is looking at the actual trades. But this is the problem with this kind of line of thinking, is it works out great if one of those stocks goes to 2R right away, because then you could easily say, all right, I've already, made a profit for the day. I'm just going to move the other stop up to break even. That's easy. So when everything goes well, it's very easy to follow. But when things don't go well, it's very easy to break your plan. And that's what you have to really be planned for, is how are you going to handle the difficult times and day trading. So when I don't do this, when I just take one trade on one stock, if that trade fails, then I can take another one and 1 more. And if that fails, then I stop out. And it's a lot easier to stick to the plan in that scenario, because I'm only looking at 1 stock, and I know that I'm giving that stock the best chance statistically of a trade working out, because I know my first trade wins less often than my second trade, and my third trade wins more often than all 3 of those trades. So if I've given 1 stock all 3 trades, I know that, hey, I've given you all the chances that I can give you to give me a winning trade, and you weren't able to do it today, so that's it. I'm done trading for the day, and I walk away, and I come back the next day looking for something else. So it's just a lot easier thing to follow than this. It gets a little bit complicated, and when things don't go right, it's very easy to break your plan. So here's some stuff from before I broke my plan. And it looks like I have a spelling error here. Some of it may have contributed, while other things kept me trading the plan for a long time. So this is something that I wrote today, that it's just kind of an observation that there's going to be, not to go and rewrite your plan entirely. There's going to be a lot of things in here that are really good that got me to trading 58 trades without breaking the plan. So it's important to notice those and not remove them. So here, this is something I'm saying that I must do in order to maintain my trading plan for a long time. This is a little bit older, and this is something I'm saying is a good part of the plan. If you have multiple stocks in your chart page that are about to trigger entries, just pick one that has the best looking setup and pattern. This is the only subjectivity that I want to have in my trading, is at the very beginning of the trading session, when I have more than 1 chart up that looks good, I have to pick the one that I think looks the best, that's going to give me the best chance of getting a 2R trade, and then I ignore the others. I remove them from my view so that I'm not distracted by them, and I just focus on that 1 stock. And even if I get stopped out all 3 times, then I've tried to give myself the edge based on cleaner price action and based on my statistics, what I spoke about just a little bit ago. So that's the part that I'm going to keep in the plan and really stick to, because I know that's going to be much easier to follow. So let's see, picking stocks from the screener when there's multiple opportunities. Now this is some older stuff as well that is good. All of this is basically everything after this point is going to stay in the plan. I need to update this because this is before the day that I broke my plan. Now we're only up 9R on the plan, but still I think that shows a lot of strength in this plan, because even when I broke the rules, which is not a good thing, but even when I broke the rules, I'm still up, I'm still profitable on this trade, even on this plan, even though I'm just about a little more than halfway through the test. So that's pretty much it. Everything else here is old and it's still good. It still works. None of this other stuff is conflicting, and it's going to stay in the plan. So nothing really to talk about here because I've showed this before many times. And then it just starts kind of getting into the technicals of, you know, how to pick the stocks and pick the entries. And then at the very end, I have my rules. And the one rule that I broke on Friday was right here. So that's bad. That's why I'm in trader rehab this week, and that's why I'm doing all these videos. Now, I want to mention that your plan, that's where your real money is going to be made as a trader. It's not while you're executing your trades. You could have excellent execution skills, but if your trading plan is not good, that's just going to make you very efficient at losing your money very quickly. So you must focus on your trading plan. Make sure that your trading plan is as good as you think you can make it, and then focus on executing it as well as possible. So that's it. Hopefully this video was helpful to you. If it was, hit the like button. If you haven't done so already, hit subscribe. Leave a comment down below. Let me know what you think of all this. And I know this is a bit of a deep dive into trading psychology, but I feel it's extremely important. This is something that you may not realize if you're a newer trader, but the more you trade, the more you're going to see that this is really where the trading begins and ends, not at your platform, not while you're executing the trades. All right, guys, as always, go into every single trade with a plan and stick to it no matter what. Always take your stop losses, honor your profit target, and in the long run, you should be green. Take care.